Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, as always, is the dame who didn't do DECA with Dave, Bethany McChesney.
That was a good one.
Yes, I come up with that one just today, just like what eating dinner and everything. So before we forget, this is brought to you by Duonamic, and they're a pull up door frame system, which is hard to pronounce and easy to use and really easy to set up. So check it out. Go to Duonamic. All right. Yes, you didn't go with me. You suck.
I did have a bit of FOMO when I saw your videos and your posts after. It was just too quick of a turnaround coming back from Alberta, but how was it?
It was awesome. It was really, really good. It was one of those, so many things were kind of worrying in our head because of not being across the border in so long and worrying that was going to get screwed up. And then going to a gym we've never heard of, we don't know about, we didn't know anybody going to be there, and everything went really well. It was really cool. People were great. We talked about it, and it reminded me of the beginning when we first got into OCR and like all the people who were crying at the finish line because they had done something they didn't think they could do, and it was great. It was so overwhelming. It was amazing. One woman, what was her name? And I don't remember her last name. Denise, 71 years old.
I love that.
And she did it. And she was 29 minutes. It took her 29 minutes, but she's 71 and she just kept trying. She was awesome. I mean, and then afterwards cheered everybody on for the rest of the day. She was amazing. It was just that kind of thing. You just saw the whole thing. I talked to a lot of guys that were like my age or a little older, and they're all like, so many of them, that same kind of, I was a mess, and then I found this in this community, and now I'm feeling so much better, and I'm healthy, and all that stuff. It was great, and that's all like kind of aside from actually doing the event.
Yeah.
So it was very cool. Mm-hmm. And Riley won for the women.
Oh, exciting.
So cool. And I mean, Riley won for the women. I came third for the men. We're not going to go on like, we're awesome. Okay. Granted, it wasn't like, Kent and you were there or anything like that, but we did all right. We did all right. I was actually disappointed with my time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did
you have a time in mind that you wanted to hit?
I did, and I didn't hit it. And okay. I thought for sure I would go sub 15. I just thought that, and I did the math in my head. It all worked out. And then mostly I was really well. Everything was going great. And then a few things took longer than I expected because I hadn't really been able to practice them. Shockingly, not the skier.
Oh, that was going to be my first guess.
Yeah, because I'd never used one before, not once. Yeah. I was under 2 minutes on the skier, right? I was like,
oh, that's solid.
Yeah, and I've nice and comfortable pace. I was actually faster on the skier than I was on the roller. And then, really? Yeah, and then everybody says the bike is hell. The bike is hell. I was faster on the bike than I was on the skier or the roller. What took me a long time and it slowed me down more than I thought was the stupid tank. I was like 3 minutes on that tank.
Ah.
And it wasn't that it was hard. It was because I'd never done it before. I didn't know how to pace. So I obviously went too slow. And then
the other thing, just trying not to blow up your legs?
Yeah, and I just didn't, because the way it feels is so different than a sled.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to gauge how much effort to put into it, and I didn't put enough into it. And and then the dead balls over the shoulders, I was a little slower on that than I would like to be, but I just come off the bike, so I think that maybe that's why. And the bike was quick. I was 150 on the bike for the 25 cal, which apparently that's decently fast.
Uh-huh.
And so that they were a little longer than I thought. And then the ram burpees, they were hard, but I wasn't as quick a pace as I would have liked. So there's definitely room for improvement on everything. I honestly believe that in me at peak fitness, I think I can go sub 14. And that's kind of where I'd like to be. And I'm going to get there now. I'm feeling much more reinvigorated and motivated. And I've been like in a training slump. I've been having good programming and kind of just like going through the motions.
Yeah, you probably just needed that really good kick in the butt competition
Yeah.
to kind of relight that fire. It's been a long time since we've really competed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And to the guys that beat me. So like a 23-year-old kid beat me. I don't remember his name, but he was lost half the time. He was making all sorts of crazy mistakes, but he was just had that 23-year-old engine. It was just going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the owner of the gym beat me. And Jeff just a message you because I believe he will listen to that. I'll get you next time, and my shorts are better.
I heard him making fun of your shorts.
Yeah. Well, he had like little duckies on his short, or chickens or something like that.
Okay.
Mine were better, far and away, but they were super welcoming. I mean, it was like, the Canadians are here, and they were awesome. Everybody was so nice. Immediately come over and talk to us. It was great. You couldn't have had a better group of people. It was really, like I said, it was like the beginnings of OCR again, just going back through it.
Mm-hmm. So when you competed, was there someone else with you, or were you totally by yourself?
No, I had another girl, Angel, was with me.
So they did duels?
They did two at a time. Yeah, they had the gear set up for two. And really, they had a great setup the way they did it. It was like a horseshoe, and it was really well laid out. And he told me the time before they didn't do such a good job on it and the layout. So they learned from that one. And I think they absolutely nailed the layout, because transition wise, that was another thing. My transitions, I was slow. I was just like lofting from one to the other. I never put any hustle in it whatsoever. And
yeah,
I guess maybe I was so worried about burning myself out that I didn't put any, intensity into my transitions whatsoever.
Yeah.
But the layout was like, you're talking like you're off one, boom, the other one's right there. Off one, boom, the other one's right there. And yeah, so it was really well set up and good on them. And I don't think they need to change a thing in the setup for their next one. So yes,
and you didn't. And their next one is a decamile, right?
He mentioned that they're going to do a decamile, but he didn't have a date yet. He said sometime in June, which really sucks because my June is like slammed. I don't know what your June looks like, but mine is just, it's absolutely slammed. So unless they hit a magic date, I doubt we'll be able to make it.
Yeah.
So right now, though, I will end up with that Deca trifecta, though, because I will do Chicago Deca Fit and the relay, and then I'm going to go to Atlantic City and do the mile, because they are having a group for people who have not qualified, which only makes sense. Hyrox, please click into that. I have no idea why you're not doing it. Anyway, it's silly. So anyway, yeah, you are absolutely going to love it. You're going to eat it up. And Riley says, thank you for not coming.
Yeah, I thought about it a lot, but yeah, I just couldn't make that transition. But I'm really excited for when I get to do one.
I liked the idea before. And after trying it, I'm like, I'm totally see what Yancey's yapping on about, for everybody and all that stuff. And when I saw that Denise lady go through, and I was just like, yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
It was
well, and like you said too, like these types of events where everybody can compete, the community is really what it's all about. So if you can get a whole gym on board, gyms can do those simulations and they can get groups training for it. Like people need things that they're working towards. And being a gym owner too, I see these lulls in people's motivation, and people aren't showing up as much. But when you put something in the calendar where we're all going to kind of train for this, and I did one at my gym too last summer, and people got really fired up about it, and it was so great. And people come out and they cheer each other on. Even people would come out who weren't even wanting to do the event. And yeah, they're just such a big community builder. So DECA has that better than such a big production like Hyrox. So
yeah, they have figured out the little people,
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt Hyrox's production is amazing. Like
yeah,
their gear they bring in is so top notch. And I don't know if it's the way they take their videos or whatever, or the way the lighting or the places they do, it looks first class.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think, they're missing that grassroots. is maybe what it is. And maybe they'll get a hold of it. Maybe they'll start getting gyms and go through there. I hope so. I really do. But yes, you will tear it up, and definitely got money on you for whenever you do it.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? So that was one of the type of thing I wanted to talk about. And the other thing that they are nailing is the coverage of their events. Now, it's not live coverage, and I'm going to stick on that forever. It will be better live.
Yeah.
But right now, what they are doing, where they're condensing, typical Spartan style, 3 days to a week later, they release, kind of a synopsis of what it is. It's, instead of a 30-minute race, it's like 20 minutes. But what they are doing really well on it is, believe it or not, I like the commentary with Yancey and Jared, where they talk for like 30 seconds at the beginning. And then while people are out on the run, they'll give a little, this is where who and who is, this is what's going on, boom, 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 quick update. And then you go through. There's still things to be ironed out and everything like that. And live with someone commentating like me would be fantastically better. But it's still really good. I'm impressed with it. I thought they really nailed the last one. And they're good. Okay, so I wanted to hear about your track and field world.
Yeah, so for everyone listening who follows along with the Canadian track and field world and the global track and field world, there was big news that was released 2 days ago. So our girl, Gabriella Debus Stafford, who is, if you don't know her, so she's a 2-time Olympian. She just recently set the North American record in the 5,000, running 14:31. She has 7 Canadian records, most set in the last 2 years. So really, she's one of the best Canadian mid-distance runners that's ever lived. So she's been training down with the Bowerman Track Club in Portland, Oregon, which really is one of the best track programs in North America. So it was a big deal for her to go there. She has full funding with Nike. So a few months before the 2020 Olympics, which was held in 2021. So June 2021, one of her primary training partners, Shelby Houlihan, was banned for 4 years for testing positive for nandrolone. So obviously a performance enhancing drug. She was actually tested positive a few months before that, but her ban started right before the Olympics. And it really, really upset Gabrielle. She actually had stated that she had a hard time refocusing and even making it to the Olympics because of it. So that's kind of the context of this story. But Gabrielle has just announced that she's going to leave the Bowerman Track program because of this and come back and train in Victoria, BC, which, if you kind of understand the situation, she's leaving one of the best programs in North America, Canada, or the US, with some of the best runners at her discipline, like a massive collection of females, including her sister, who just moved there, who's probably the only other Canadian who can even pace her in workouts for the 1500. And she's moving to Victoria, where there isn't a female to even train with at her level. So she's going to be training with Trent and Hillary Stellingsworth, 2 amazing coaches, but primarily then with the University of Victoria men's track team, which is just such a massive shift. But the reason being is that there's just been too much, what she has stated is there's too much gray area with what Shelby Houlihan has been doing since her ban. So there hasn't been any clarity as to whether she should or shouldn't be training with the team. So it sounds like what happens is, if you have this ban, you really shouldn't be training with these big training groups. And Shelby has still been she's been at training camps, she's been in the weight room, she's been doing workouts, and it's made Gabrielle really uncomfortable. She's asked for complete separation from her, and they haven't granted it. They've kind of disrespected her wishes about being separated from Shelby. So she's made the decision to leave the program. And she made a long post about it. And she also said in her post, I'm going to do an interview, and then nobody asked me anything about it again. I'm not going to speak about it. And she said, for the sake of my performance and mental health, I need to move on. So it's kind of rocking the track and field world, because she was fifth at the Olympics in the 1500. She is one of the best middle distance runners on the planet, and to make such a bold move and such a bold statement against an athlete who was caught doping, I just think yeah, it's causing a lot of ripples, and it's definitely creating news in the track and field world. But I mean, I'm really proud of her.
And this isn't like kind of the first kind of controversy around this team or this training facility, right?
Yeah, so the history then, so the Bowerman Track Club used to be the Nike Oregon project, and it was run by Alberto Salazar, who he received a lifetime ban from coaching. Originally, it was because of doping allegations, doping offenses with the athletes that he was coaching were caught doping, which he had a 4-year ban. And then during that time, a few women were coming out with their stories of misconducts. So, and a couple of them sexual misconducts. And then he ended up ultimately receiving a lifetime ban. So Alberto Salazar had the Nike Oregon project. And then when he was banned permanently, it became the Bowerman Track Club. So one of his athletes when he was coaching was Shalane Flanagan, who is one of the coaches of the Bowerman Track Club. So I don't know if that kind of played into some of Gabrielle's decisions, because one of the things she did say too was that her reputation is extremely important to her, which I mean, rightfully so. And so maybe just all the stress about what does this look like to her, and then making all the connections with that club and what had happened with it previously. Maybe she just didn't want to get wrapped up in case something else kind of came out of all this.
Yeah. So like you say, there's still definitely some links to the past, right? Like it's not like there was a clean slate and it all was wiped away and nobody that was involved is still there. The other thing too to point out is, yeah, the girl you're talking about who had tested positive, this is the bad burrito girl, right?
Yes, yeah. So that apparently it was tainted meat in a burrito, organ meat, and potentially in a burrito. So although we know that it was, her levels were way too high, that could have ever come from a single burrito. So
What does it cost to get a performance enhancing burrito anyway? Because I think there's money in it. A performance enhancing burrito truck could make a killing everywhere.
Well, and I mean, for people who aren't being tested and just like a little boost.
I'm not getting tested. I'm not running pro. I could get a performance enhancing burrito. Because no, I'm glad. I'm really happy for it, because it shows a lot of character, and hopefully that's what it. And hopefully she's just trying to distance herself from drama and controversy, and just wants to run and just wants to kick ass on her own. I find it very hard to believe, and even when the whole burrito gate came out, I don't think these athletes do it on their own. I think their coaches know. I think their trainers know, and I think if they're claiming they don't know, they're full of shit or they're turning a blind eye. And I totally get why she would bail out of that, and just kudos for having the courage to do so, because that's not easy to do.
Yeah, and she had said too how when it first came out, she had already talked about leaving, but she had just moved and the Olympics were coming and the stress of a move and how much money it cost them to move there. Her and her husband uprooted their lives from Toronto to go there. And so I get why she tried to stick it out. And she was with such an awesome group of women. Like it could be, just this one girl and Shelby, and, she kind of got wrapped up in some stuff. But again, like, I know when everything went down with Alberto Salazar, every athlete that he coached at that time, even myself, I questioned, well, are they clean or did they so when you're kind of wrapped up in that mix, like, what if somebody else came out in their program to be caught doping? Like, then people might start to question Gabrielle's integrity too. So I get why she would want to distance herself from the whole situation. It's just too bad. But then also her sister, Lucia Stafford, her younger sister, who also went to the Olympics with her in the same event, just moved there just in November. So I would assume Lucia will probably follow her to Victoria as well. So hasn't been announced yet, but I would. And then we have Andrea Sakafian, also a Canadian, who just also moved there in the fall. So it might be interesting to see what happens after this. And I talked to another Canadian athlete that we have in Victoria, who will probably be doing some of her training with her. And she was just like, good for her. Gabrielle takes no shit from anybody. So I feel like she's probably tried to make her case with the program there, and they just weren't listening to her.
Well, I mean, when you're left with nothing else to do, you gotta, excuse the phrase, you gotta shit or get off the pot, right? Either you're just going to talk the talk, or you're going to live up to your own standards, and you're going to maintain your integrity. And that sounds like what she's doing. And hopefully we'll now see her at further competitions, still kicking ass, and with, less drama in her life. And, this might mentally, the ease from this could actually help her competitively, right? Like, I can't even understand the kind of training it takes to be at that level, right? It boggles my mind. But I do know that if your mind is not right, even when you're not training at a high level, that it affects you. So if she's dealing with that kind of stress or drama, and she's not at ease, and she's not mentally focused, that's got to affect your performance.
Oh, absolutely. And I think too, like the mental side of things, which she said is ultimately the biggest reason why she left. When you're in a situation now where she's going to be a pretty primary focus of where she's going right now, like with who she's being coached, she doesn't have this conglomerate of people who are all kind of the top dogs in the world. That might also help. So she's working with a whole team of people in Victoria. But I would also love to see more Canadians stay and train in Canada, like with Canadian athletes. So kind of maybe this might be a move, getting more Canadians working together and training together in Canadian facilities, to just kind of like bring us more as a team again, as Canadian athletes.
Well, you know what, if you're a track athlete and you're going down to like California or Florida to train in the winter or something like that, I understand that. Oregon's just as shitty as here.
But it's altitude, right?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think.
But you're right. They can go and have training camps there and still train as a Canadian team.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get to our guest, we're going to talk a lot of Hyrox when we get to our guest, Dylan Scott. Perhaps you've heard of him. He's very excited. Anyway, but I do want to ask, just before he gets on, I'm sure we'll talk about it with him, but I want to get just your opinion. Hunter McIntyre, 55 minutes.
Oh yeah. I was not expecting that to happen. And not that I don't think he's capable, because I have felt like his focus has been kind of all over the place.
Oh, God.
And then he just throws down the hammer in Dallas. So I was not expecting it at all, but good for him.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought for sure he was divided and split. And I thought, okay, this is Hunter on his way out to move to something else, to next thing that he's going to make money at or whatever he's going to do. And nothing wrong with that, right? Business dude doing his thing, trying to make a living. That's cool. I have no issues, but wow. Just wow, smashed it. And,
yes.
Along with Hunter. And did you watch the last Spartan games and stuff?
Yeah.
There was something there, and I was impressed with him there too, beating VJ in the
half marathon trail.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. I thought at the beginning, he was getting left behind, and I thought, he's getting left behind with the weight vest on. Oh my God, he's just not ready for this. He's not in shape. He's, nope, wrong again.
Yeah. Well, and maybe VJ burnt himself out with that weight vest, right? When you're looking at the weight on VJ's body and Hunter's body, like it would have taken a lot more effort for VJ to run with that weight vest.
Well, and VJ coming off Big Bear as well, right before that, when that happened, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What have you thought of the Spartan game so far? Like, I've had my opinion out there. What's your thoughts on how it's been so far?
Spartan games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I mean, I just think the events so far just super favor our OCR athletes, and it's endurance. So I mean, I know things are going to shift a little bit. We have wrestling coming up, but there's not enough strength components right now to kind of showcase the other athletes.
If I was a CrossFitter, a lifter, a strength athlete of any kind, and Spartan called me next year and said, "Hey, you want to do Spartan games?" I'd be like, "Go fuck your hat."
Yeah, you might as well just get a bunch of OCR athletes.
Yeah, because that's really what they're doing. It really is. And yeah, I mean, they're not strength events. They're really not.
Yeah.
And
even the Deca Strong wasn't really a strength event.
No,
We still had a bunch of cardio components, and it was long for a deca strong. So
Yeah, like you, and it wasn't that heavy. Like the sled was a hard push, but other than that, what was really heavy? That thing the women were squatting with was 75 pounds.
yeah,
Like that's not a.
it was just awkward.
Yeah, but it's I mean, you're trying to give this is supposed to be where the strength women shine, like that Megatron girl, right? That's where she's supposed to shine.
Yeah.
Shining, you're not giving her a chance, right? You're not, she's going to eat it on the long stuff, and
Right.
she doesn't get a chance. This is, I was glad Rachel wasn't there.
Yeah.
Just because I still think she would have done amazingly well. And she might even won because she does have that cardio.
Yeah.
But I just, I don't know. I just remember watching it thinking that, going, I'm kind of glad she's not there.
Yeah. It's so far it's being set up to make the OCR athletes shine.
Yeah. And Watson.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. His world.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think there's only one episode left anyway.
That's it?
I think so. I mean, like, I think they had less of. I think they only have it's like the wrestling, and then I think a kind of tactical game style event. So yeah, I mean, and right from the get-go, when you get like how many people getting zeros? Oh, if you have an Air Force challenge, right? Shouldn't the two Air Force people be able to do it?
I thought it was due. Yeah, because didn't they both fail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually said that when I was watching. Like, wait a minute.
I didn't click until after, and I was like, hey, they got zeros. They should have at least got it. Anyway. All right. How about you got anything else, or shall we move on and bring on Dylan?
Yeah, let's bring on Dylan.
All right. We're gonna bring on Dylan.
What's up, Dave?
Winter chicken dinner. He's got the sweater on and everything.
Oh, I honestly did not think of that. I just left the gym and threw this on a minute ago.
I don't know about Bethany, but I'm not impressed because I have a Hyrox shirt that says winter on it. Don't you, Bethany?
I do too, actually.
Everybody has a Hyrox shirt that says winter on it. So, not impressed, Dylan. Just
Hey, Dave, how did you get it? You haven't even done one yet.
And I still have one that says winter. Imagine that.
This is ridiculous. This is outrageous. That's stolen valor.
No, I got mine for an age group win on the virtual one. That's how I got mine.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fair. It's a little low on the glory, but it's still fair.
It's understandable. How are y'all doing?
Good, man. But not as good as you, I assume? Are you still riding a high?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. Well, like I told you, like I said earlier, I've completely lost my voice. So I was going to propose, you think we could do this podcast in sign language? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it would be a great audio experience for everyone.
It would up the YouTube views.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. No, I'm doing good. I'm happy with what went down this weekend. That was almost exactly the result that I wanted. Of course, I would have loved to see a 59 instead of a 60. 4 seconds. 4 seconds. And what sucks is I can tell you probably 3 places within the race where I know where those 4 seconds were.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that. But but yeah, I mean, I can't walk away upset with that. That's whether I was 4 seconds faster or what exactly I did, it was 11th place, Yeah. So that gets me precisely where I need to be with, I guess one race left that can count from Europe.
I don't know. I keep hearing different stories on it, so we'll see.
Okay.
London
fair
for
enough.
sure, maybe the other one. But yeah, I think your time is good, is where it is. I know I saw Tiago, he's going to take one more shot at it.
Yep, that'll be
but here's the thing, and I don't know if I'll be the first to say this, but your thing is not 11th place. It's not a fair deal. It's not a level playing field. It's just not. So
well, it's okay. No, you're not the first to say this. It's not 11th place. I will be very, upfront. about it. If we were, and I talked to Rich Ryan about this, we were running after the race. We got together and just went for a little jog and chatted for a bit. And we were like, all right, if you were to do a draft right now of your Hyrox athletes, how's it going to go down? And we both kind of agreed that I would end up maybe 5 and he would end up 7.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fair. I mean, I think if you break down right now, you're going Hunter, Kent, probably Toby, Tim, me, Ronchevic, Rich Ryan.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
That's about how it rolled down.
Yeah, I would totally buy that. And I think that, one, I'm absolutely gutted that Rich is not going.
That, honestly, when I finished, I actually, even during the race, I was feeling bad. I really was. When I saw the lead that I had and the narrow margin that I was going to get in, there was a part of me that went, fuck, I didn't want this to happen. Me and Rich talked before the race, and I was like, dude, let's go both break 60 so that we, like, neither one of us are pushing the other one out. And it was just, it wasn't his day. No. It wasn't his day. And, I mean, he's coming off of getting sick, like 3 weeks ago. And I asked him beforehand, I was like, hey, like, how do you feel? I was like, oh, I feel great. But knowing, having had it before as well, it does take it some out of you, that in 3 weeks, you might think that you feel okay, but you're not quite there yet. And I think it jumped on him. And he was a little more under the weather than he actually knew. You're about to see a dog's head just to slowly start to creep into the camera. She's needing all the attention right now. Oh, yeah. But I feel the same way about that for him.
And that's it. Like I said when it happened, I'm like, okay, so Rich Ryan is whatever, 15, 7 or 16, 17, wherever he happens to be there. If you put him in that race in Vegas, he's going to come top 5. Well, maybe not top 5, sorry, top 10, 100% top 10. And that's, I think, an under, like, a low estimation. That's like I would totally take the bet that he's top 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. I say almost definitely top 10. Very good chance of top 5. Could even be on the top the 3.
Yeah, he could end up throwing down a sub 60 run and end up on the podium. Absolutely, he totally is capable of that. And when we say he got over being sick, he had to drop out of that big deck in Colorado where we had Kent and all those guys. So I mean, yeah, that was not that long ago. And no, we've all gone through it. And I know me, I've, like, after when I got back, I'd jump on the treadmill and I'd feel fine and I'd run.
Yeah.
But then I checked my heart rate and it was like, 10, 15 beats higher than it would normally be at that pace. It was like,
yes,
not quite right yet.
When I had it, I was at least, I would say 5 or 6 weeks before my heart rate wouldn't spike as soon as I did cardio.
Yeah. And so he's only 3 weeks removed.
Yeah.
Like if that from having it. So that's exactly what happened to him. Like he went out and he didn't go out that hot. None of them really did. I mean, cause I'm a pretty conservative racer in the first half. I don't normally go out over my head. If I ever feel like I'm extending myself in that first run, I'm like, nope, I'm going to give them 5-6 seconds. And that's what they had. And Rich is a great runner. And so those 5-6 seconds he's probably running the same comfortable level as I would be at that pace. And then I think his heart rate just crept, and he redlined a little bit at the sleds. And from there, it was just like, it's not coming back down. And I could clearly see it because in Chicago, it was me running as hard as I could to keep up with him. And then here, after the sleds, I ran him down and just walked away. And that shouldn't have happened to a fully healthy Rich Ryan, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So is there not the chance that he could get in because there was 2 spots that roll down?
Yes, I think that there's a good chance that he gets in. And I hope he does, and I hope that that's the time frame to when Las Vegas is long enough that he shows up like top notch. And he would be somebody that I'd worry about. Definitely. If he's in that race, you should be worried.
Oh yeah. And like I said, hopefully he does get in and he does get to go, because that might give it an opportunity to prove to Hyrox that this system needs to be fixed, if it hasn't already been proven already. And I mean, I've laid it out as the simplest system possible, to just have 8 from west, 8 from the east, and go that way if they only want 16 or so. But since you started into it, so lay out your race, how to go for you. So you said you started a little slow, you're conservative or whatever, and you got to the sleds, and you told me the sleds were nasty.
Yeah, they were not fun. And what kills me is like empirically. So I go and I do these sleds like back home, and they're going up. Like I'm getting stronger in all my workouts. And it seems like every single time that I get back to the sled push, it's like it's gotten harder. And I don't understand. I mean, sitting there and watching Cole beside me take 9 minutes to finish because his carpet kept rolling up and everything. I mean, the only person who really got through it fast was Hunter. But I mean, he's Hunter. He's extremely strong. So in his time getting through it still, I mean, was I think 2:57. That's a slow sled time in Europe.
Yeah.
That's at like 2:57 crushed the field over here. We were all 4:20, 4:30, 4:40, trying to get through this thing. And he's 2:57 and walks away from everybody. But over in Europe, if you put a 2:57 up, you're like, I don't know, 9th, 10th out.
Yeah.
If that. So it was rough on the push. I didn't feel like I had the same issue in Chicago. Like my carpet didn't seem to ripple too bad. It was just, I mean, the friction was there, and I'd hammer it and I'd go for a minute. And the last 2 races I did, I tangibly remember standing there like 2 lanes in, just looking at it and going, am I going to finish? Like, am I going to be able to finish this? And then I'd take a break and I'd hit it again. I'm like, okay, maybe. And then slowly you realize, okay, you'll finish. But dude, it jumps you every single time. Every single.
One of the things, like I should just kind of cut off your race recap.
Yes, fine.
One of the things that Hyrox has to fix, like I said, is that, and I do hope, and I don't know, they could be thinking these things, they could be having plans ahead, but they definitely need to fix that. Even just because I think of it like the sled pull in a Spartan race, right? Where one, they're not all even, and then you'll get like a divot in the ground.
Yeah.
And it's not a question of you're not strong enough to pull that sled. It's a question of there's a bloody wall in the way. There's like a rut and you can't get it. And that's, make the sled heavy, make it hard, make it super. I want to see you guys take 5 minutes to push it, but I want it to be consistent. And I want it to be, you're pushing hard because it's freaking heavy and not because a carpet's rippled in front of you and you can't get over it.
Yeah. I agree with that. And then I know in the last podcast, y'all talked with Tara and y'all talked about like ideas to take away the sled push or pull. I absolutely hate that idea. I even as a small guy who has to do this weird, wacky, like I'm going to hug and take a nap on the sled to move it.
Best pictures.
It comes out with like these pictures of, there's one, I didn't share it, but dude, I look like I just took a left to the jaw and just went to sleep. Like it looks terrible. And I'll send it to y'all so you can see it and laugh at it. But no, I love the sleds because of how much they mess with people's head.
I love the concept of it, but until it gets cleaned up, that's the issue, right? But the concept of pushing the sled and pulling the sled is great. It just needs to be evened out.
Well, and I don't think Tara necessarily wanted it gone either. I think the consistency was a big piece, but it was also I just lost my train of thought, but yeah, she wanted more consistency with it too, but she didn't want it gone also because the sleds is what people talk about. It's like the spear throwing Spartan. It's annoying and people hate doing burpees for a spear, but it's kind of that symbolic part of Hyrox. You can't really get rid of it.
No. But
you can fix it.
Yes.
God damn it, man. I can build anything in the world. I can fix it if they let me.
All right. Well, then we need, listen, you know who to talk to. You know who the people are. Reach out to them.
I have. Actually, I have reached out. I'm trying to sell this whole, they need to talk with a committee of athletes like yourself, and then open athletes and find out what they need to, how they can improve the experience. Because that's where they get their best ideas. That's what I think a good race company, a good event company does, is reaches out to its clientele on the high and the low end and finds out what they need to improve their event. So that's what I've suggested to them.
Well, hopefully they do that.
Yeah, nobody listens to me. They're not doing shit.
Come on, Dave. Believe in your platform, damn it.
So
it's still a very new event. It's still new.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I think they will straighten it out. I think there are smart people at the top of this company, and they will figure it out. So you're going on from there, and you say you had out running. How did the rest of the race go? Like up till?
Let's see. So I mean, we go from there. Sled pull was relatively, it was a little bit slower than in Chicago. It felt a little bit harder than in Chicago, but it moved and went. And then everything got kind of weird because it was so spaced out. So, I mean, when you look at the finish, it's Hunter who's off the front and it's just kind of like just barnstorming through the race. And then I get kind of left on my own because I've gotten away from Rich, but of course I'm not close to Hunter, and it becomes a time trial, which is what in my head I was racing anyway. Like it was me and the clock. So even though I don't wear a watch. So I actually had no idea like where I was. I was just like, okay, these efforts feel hard enough. So we get to the burpees go how burpees go. And they normally are too low, like 2-ish low. I know I'd said before I wanted the fastest burpee split. I did not have it. Hunter went like 150 something. And I was about 206, but I was having fun with it. I saw the cameraman as I was coming down. I was like, let's make a funny face and just have a good time. So I always try to find joy within the event, even when my heart rate is like through the roof. Then by the time I got to the rower, Hunter was like 850 meters in. And so now I'm rowing and I'm hitting, normally the barometers I look for is on my ski. I want to be like 147-ish. And then I want to try to match that on my row. Because normally a ski erg is about 4 seconds slower than your row erg, for me at least. But with the cumulative fatigue within the race, I know that if I'm matching those two back to back, it tends to be good. So we sat there, Rich Ryan comes in, and I had about 500 meters on him. So I felt good at that point. I was like, all right, I think I have a comfortable kind of lead. My 4 seconds, all right, my 4 seconds of not breaking 60. One of the points that it came from was the farmer's carry. So I had a goo, all right, that I took after the burpee broad jumps and then after the row. So I opened it, ate part of it, put it back in my little like pant slot, and then took it again. Well, the second time it got on my grip. So when I get to the kettlebells, I grab some chalk and stuff and I grab them and I start doing. And the grip with my grip strength was fine. Like my left hand, which is not as strong as my right, was holding okay. But that's kind of gooey stuff started to slide. And so I had maybe 40 meters left and I had adjusted 3 times and then it just slipped out of my hand. Oh. And so I had to like stop, pull my grip off, wipe my hand, and then grab it again. And that was probably good for 4 seconds. If I look at my splits before on my kettlebell carries, they've been about 130 to 135. This one was 141. And it's like, all right, that's where it was. So that was 1 point. Now,
as a grip enthusiast, I'm just going to tell you that it's slippery doesn't matter if your grip's strong enough because you just got that hook and you don't need to worry about friction.
Well, I'm not a grip enthusiast. Oh.
Aaron Newell is angry with you now.
Aaron Newell is probably angry with me anyway. Is he not just angry with everybody?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he just exists that way. I barely know him, and he probably has a reason to be angry at me. I saw his face. It looks funny. I'm not angry about it. Like, just
forget that guy.
Yeah. Actually, I remember Aaron Newell asked me one time, like, what my 5K was. I told him, he's like, oh, yeah, you're kind of slow. I was like, admittedly, for distance runners who are like top tier, yes, you are correct. I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm like, yeah, no. When we're talking about, because it was in the context of a guy who was, he ran at Iowa State. And now he's up in this area, Dan Kurtz. And Dan's like a 13 mid 5K guy. So he was talking about him doing like the presidential traverse. And then it came up and he's like, yeah, you got slow. I was like, well, compared to a 13:35K guy, yes, you're not wrong. He would have a half mile plus than me in a race. So
just tell him I'm not that strong either, but you're welcome to come race me at Hyrox anytime you want.
Yeah, listen, if he wants to come line up, I would love to lap him. I actually have no clue how he would do. He'd probably do decent. There are a couple of
Aaron
guys that
surprised a lot of people. I think he's surprisingly strong. I don't think he'd be up there with you guys, but I think he'd do okay.
I think he would do okay. I think he could line up and put down I don't know, 66, probably 65.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. You never know.
We'd see. We'd see.
We'll taunt him into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's troll him into it.
All right.
Let's see what.
So you get through your farmer's carry. You've lost your 60 because you dropped to the kettlebells for 4 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised you didn't walk off.
Yeah, I'm notoriously known for when things go bad, I just quit. Be a calling part of mine. You know, I'll drop out of a race for anything. Shoe comes untied, done. So yeah, from there it's just get to the sandbag lunges. I actually had I've been working lunges. And so had a better split than in Chicago from there. And then it was all just wall balls. And they've been like the bane of my existence in the past, and they haven't been the best station for me. But man, I cut 30 seconds off my best wall ball time. And I have been doing a lot to improve those by going like with heavy front squats and stuff like that. And it's really made a big difference. And so I was able to come in and hit like 40 reps. And this is the second part where I think I lost time. They didn't count my first 4 wall ball reps, but nobody told me I got no rep. So I'm confused because they were hitting the little clicker thing and it wasn't counting. So I was at 26 and it was at 22, but nobody really said anything to me. Like they weren't like no rep or anything like that. So maybe I got no rep and didn't know it, but I feel like it's hard to think that I got no rep 4 times in a row with no like
on the first 4 reps.
Yeah, the first 4 reps. Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just noticed, I was like, okay, 26 is at 22. And so I think that's probably good for 4 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would say easily.
Yeah.
I haven't told anyone this story yet. This is kind of cool, actually. So we were driving back from the States while you guys were racing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to watch it. And we got to the border right around Buffalo. And just as we pulled up, there was a bit of a line, maybe like 15, 20-minute line at the border. And I look at my phone and it says Hyrox Live. So I click on it and I just was able to see you and Hunter finish at the live thing while we're waiting in the line at the border. And I'm like, oh, and then I, of course, got to see the finish and you bring the smoke.
I was a little excited. And there's also the fact that like David, which was the guy who was like, basically he would have thrown my body across the line had I not finished. So you can see him like sitting there just he's the biggest hype man for Hyrox. And so I get 99, 100, it goes up, and all of a sudden I just feel his hand on my back and he's you gotta go.
Yeah, I heard him.
Yeah, you gotta go. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Had I passed out, he would have just picked me up and thrown me. Like he just be like, he finished. It counts. So I've got him yelling at me. I see the time. I get excited because these are the same kind of rants I've had in my bedroom. Just like standing there, like, you know what? It makes no sense that I'm not in the top 15 because I'm top 10 in the world. Damn it! And so I have that moment, and then it's like, there's the camera. I'm like, forget it. All humility. I'm about to just call out a continent. Like I'm gonna yell. And then you asked me earlier, you were like, have you been celebrating hard? And I was like, no, it was that 30 seconds was it. Like that was it. And then after that, I was back. I was just like, okay, and we're relaxed now.
Honestly, I was probably just as excited for you as you were because I was like in the car, like, yeah, give it to him, Dylan.
I had a lot of fun with that. And it was funny because 5 minutes later, I'm walking around and Brent Haster's standing there and he's looking at me. He's like, well, are you excited? I said, yeah. It's like, oh, you seem a little low key right now. Maybe. I'm like, well, it's done. Like, it's done. I yelled at the camera. I did what I needed to do. We're now we're just back to relax.
And congrats to Brent, who had a great day too. He had a good day there and awesome. And we keep meaning to we want to have Brent on sometime to talk minivans, and it keeps screwing up. But yeah, we definitely, Brent, we'll get you on here soon.
You see what he did immediately after the race?
No.
He is sitting there on the, like, they had maybe been finished 60 seconds. Somebody throws him a Bud Light. He cracks it open and drinks it out of his shoe. It's one. I have the video of it. I took the video. His guy standing beside me. He's like, "Are you videoing?" I was like, "Yeah, I got this." He's like, "Brent." He looks up, just throws it. He does a shoey right there on the stage. Hyrox like, he's like a substitute teacher who's just lost control of the class. I would laugh at this point. Covered in foamy beer out of his shoe on the stage, and like it's wonderful because that's 100% Brent.
Oh, he's a character, man.
Oh, for sure. And they had a great race. Was I secretly happy they didn't break our American record? Yes. Did I maybe look at him on stage when he looked over and go, eh? Yes. But they gave it a great effort. And if they race together in Vegas, there's a good chance they could win it.
Yeah. Well,
there's a good.
So now you're in your top 15, you're in 11th. So disappointment for me, because I was pushing for the U Bethany tandem to do the Vegas team event. And I was like, yeah.
I would have been
the substitute for Tara.
I would have been down to do it. So, I mean, Tara and I had the agreement, like if she didn't get a time and I didn't get a time, we were going to go and we were going to race doubles and then race just age group. We were going to double up at Worlds. But it looks like hopefully, I mean, I would think that we're both going to be in. And so we're just going to focus in on that. But I would have had a consolation prize that would have been darn near just as good. Or if I could have got Bethany to come race with me.
We'd have a good time for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you got in that top 15. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. So now we're in prep mode now. So this is obviously 100% prep Vegas from here to now. Quit your job, end all relationships, family, friends, all those things that get in your way. We're going to get rid of that and just focus on Vegas, right?
No. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to retain some of those. No, I mean, that's to say that family and friends aren't something that actually make it possible. I mean, I got to think about the fact that, because I train a lot and it takes a lot of time. And if it wasn't for, like Maria, my fiance, there's a lot of things that I would have to put training off for and go do. Like, she really helps me get things done that otherwise would not get attended to. Yeah. And so I think that's a relationship I probably need to have. And if I'm going to be able to pay bills, I cannot quit my job, nor do I want to. I might be one of the few people who goes, I actually like my job. There's some people, there are a lot of people, honestly, that do not like the job. But I have an awesome boss who's super supportive, and he's like, man, just do what you got to do. And as long as I get my job done, and we keep the company rolling and doing well, I have a lot of freedom to train. So prep mode for me, I live a life that allows me to be able to prep how I need to.
That's awesome.
And so I don't have to sever anything.
So are you going to attack Vegas any different? And actually, let's see. So first off, with that top 15, right? And this is something that, because if I look a little strange here, I'm actually going to look at the top 15 right now.
Yep, that's fine.
So here we go. We're listed off here. We got Hunter, we got Tobias, we got Ryan Kent, Tim, Alexander Ronkovic, Dominic Mills Jeffrey Vosing, Thomas Verdick, I believe, Peter Schiller, Holger Kroner, Dylan Scott, Dieter Schwarzkopf, Cole Schwartz, Martin Musilis, and Michael Sandbach. Now, like you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Americans out of 15, or North Americans, whatever, out of 15.
Yeah.
How do you think that ends up? Because I'll look at it honestly, and I see. Obviously, like you say, Tobias is going to be competitive anywhere.
Yeah.
Him as well. So looks like he's a real deal. Ronkovic seems to depend on the day.
That's fair. I think he's gotten more consistent lately.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. His European races have been fairly consistent. To be honest,
he is one of the only ones who has from Europe who has been over here to have a race here.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
That didn't.
It could have also been his shoes that day. I do distinctly remember because that was my first race. He was wearing, I think he was wearing Vaporflies.
Wow.
And because I just remember watching him run, like I saw him jog by, and I like just kind of picked up, and so I have that distinct image in my head. Because he was a good looking runner, and I was like, all right, he's well built. I think he's going to be pretty decent. I just remember those shoes.
Yeah.
And those have been notoriously poor for pushing in. So maybe he made an adjustment there. But I guess my question was the question would be, what was your question going to be coming from that top 15?
Well, just who from Europe? Is there anyone in that list that, other than say Tim and Tobias, maybe Alex, that you think is a legit threat for that podium?
I think Dominic. I think Dominic Malzahn, because of the fact that he's a pretty strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when the sleds come, I mean, because if you look, he wall balls in about 3:16.
Mm-hmm.
So he closes like a freight train. So he could come in a minute behind somebody and catch him. And he'll go unbroken. So you've got to watch for him to close really hard. And he might be somebody that even if the sleds get heavy and nasty, he can still work his way into contention. And then possibly the Frenchman, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Because
he was pretty hot on Toby's heels for the majority of that last race they had in Karlsruhe, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Madrid is where he has his qualifying time for 59:46. But I think it was a different race where you're talking about where he was pushing.
Yeah, he was. That race wasn't particularly fast. Madrid was lightning fast.
Yeah.
And so there
the weights on the sleds in Madrid.
Yeah, how many times are in there from Madrid? 4 or 5?
Let's see. We have 1, 2, just 3 this time. 3, but Maastricht has got a few in there too, and it was a very fast course as well.
Yeah, they had a good layout for the rock zone, which was the same for Dallas. Dallas had a wonderful layout, very fast.
That rock zone, it looked very like all the stations were very close to the entrance and exit.
Yep, it was very compact. It was well laid out. You didn't really have to do like a whole lot of traveling to get in and out of your stations. And that made for quick times, 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes for the majority of people.
And it looked too like it wasn't confusing with the laps. Like there was none of this 2.5 laps or 3 1/4 laps. It was
you run 2 and maybe 60 meters on the very first one. So it's like out and then you pass it and then 1, 2 in, and then it's that the rest of the way. Yeah. And so that was very easy to keep up with. The corners were maybe a little tight. You did have to decelerate and kind of give people some warnings to push them out of the way. But outside of that, I mean, I think it was a really good layout. Long straightaways, little tight corner, and then long straightaway. And that made for quick running. For sure.
This one I heard too was it was a better attended as well. I heard that the numbers were up a little bit. I haven't looked at that yet, but just curious. As you say, knocking people out of the way, does that mean that like there was a good crop of people on the course?
Yeah, there was. I mean, it was pretty busy all throughout the day, and I was there for the vast majority of the day because I got there early to watch doubles to support some of the people. My phone took a nosedive. Apologies. To support some of the people who were there for like Grit Fitness, like Chris and Johnny, who were racing that morning, in mixed doubles, and then to watch Brent and Alex and stuff. And so I was there from 10 o'clock until the end of the day. So I felt like it was pretty packed all day long.
So after Vegas, then we get through Vegas, you win your title. Fantastic. All's good.
All right.
What's after that? Is it like a healthy off season? What's next year? Or you just start prepping for next year?
That is a wonderful question. So I have not even really thought into it that much. I will honestly probably start milling about with some Deca Fit stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, there we go. Honestly, hey, I love those shirts. Like the Deca Mile shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sick shirt. I honestly love it. So I need to hop in and do one of those. I mean, I've got a time right now that has me qualified for the Deca Mile, but I want to go do a Deca Fit because I think I could be really good at that. So we'll give that a swing. And I'm probably going to work on getting stronger. I think that that's where most of my gains are going to come from within the sport.
Yeah.
Are being able to station faster, because let's say I go up, because I'm about 160, probably on race day, I'm about 163, 165 pounds, somewhere like that. Let's say I go up to 185. Maybe I sacrifice 20 seconds running wise, as long as I keep my running fitness really a priority, but I get a lot stronger. I think I could lose 20 seconds on a run and make up 3 minutes in a race.
Yeah. Well, even just an extra 20 pounds just to lean on the sleds in itself.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to put on I don't want to go on this, whoopie pie nutter butter diet kind of thing and put on 20 pounds of just like, hey, you don't really look like you got abs anymore, buddy. But I do definitely realize that, I mean, just sitting down on the rower and looking over, and Hunter's pulling 143. Well, okay, Hunter's pulling 143 and I'm pulling 148. I think a lot of that can come down to just weight strength.
Yeah.
And I think about when I ran in college, I wasn't running that much faster than I can run now, but I was 15 to 20 pounds lighter. I walked around in college at 145 to 150. So adding 10 to 15 pounds didn't really hurt at that point. So I don't think that adding 15 to 20 pounds is going to hurt again.
Well, and I mean, Beth, you're more of an expert on this, but to me too, I think because it would be an interval running, and then you're also talking about not sapping your legs as much on the power stations, would you even end up losing that time?
Yeah, like it's so hard with the gaining weight, losing weight thing, because sometimes our bodies just operate the best at a certain weight anyways. So
Yeah.
like I think you could play around with it a little bit, but I think to force your body into something that you're not the most efficient at might not necessarily, like the numbers might not always work out the way we might think they would. So like you might be operating at your best right now. So, and depending on, it also might affect your training. Like you might, like if you're having to eat completely differently, but yeah, I mean, it's coming from a track world. It's so different than this hybrid racing scene where strength is such a large component. So you're always trying to balance being strong but lean and fast and like back and forth and trying to find what works best for your body. So yeah, like I don't know if you'd be that much faster if you gain 20 pounds of muscle.
See, I'm on the other side. I think you'd get it, because I think that, like I said, that lack of effort, or the effort you would save in the strength sections, you'd be able to put towards the running. And because the runnings are intervals, and you're almost going to recoup more during the strength sessions than you would right now, where you're having to push harder in those sections. But I mean, that's right. Who knows till you try it.
Yeah, and there could also be the case of like, maybe I don't have to put on any weight. I just like start lifting heavier.
Yeah.
And just make, my traditional lifts aren't very strong right now. And I don't do a whole lot of strength training. I just started incorporating some of that stuff. So, and I've already seen progression with it. So maybe we run it that way. And don't add on that much weight, but put more weight on the bar.
Are people pissed when you're doing your sled training because you're stealing all the plates? Because I would be really annoyed. Be like,
no,
Dylan, tell me when you're going to do this, and I'll stay the hell home.
No, I did sled training today. And trust me, there were more than enough plates. There were more than enough. No, the only thing, they might get a little bit pissed because it does take up like the whole kind of sled lane area. But I literally just tell them, I'm like, hey, do not worry about me or what I'm doing. If you step over or in my way, it is okay. I don't care.
I haven't so I haven't belonged to a gym in a long time, but I imagine it's got to be interesting when you're trying to set up like, a bit of a hybrid scenario or a sim or whatever the case may be, and trying to like set all these sections up in a real gym where like other people are like, Bethany, you can go when you're closed and do whatever on your own.
Yeah.
But to actually set it up with, I couldn't imagine. I'd be like, how do you get anything done?
So one thing that I do is there's like a PT room where and I'll reserve that and I'll go in there and do it. And so there'll be I'll have like a treadmill. That's where I'll do like that workout that I do. That is the 1K run, the 1K row, and then having the lunges and the dumbbell clean and press in between. So sometimes if I know I'm going to be doing a workout where I'm going to be bouncing all over the place, and I need to have running involved, then I do that. But like they just finished building an outdoor rig at the gym that we have, and it's just now getting nice enough in New Hampshire to go outside. So like this afternoon, I was outside. I took all my stuff that I needed out there and just trained outside after the sled work.
That's awesome, man. I got to get more sled work. I watch your sled pushes and I'm just like, oh, I gotta get more of that in. But
it's
slowly rebuilding my house sled.
You're building your house sled. I mean, weren't you just like dragging around a bathtub or something?
Yeah. It's a little concrete mason just for mixing concrete. The funny part is I'm like a professional welder. I build stuff out of steel all day long, and I have yet to build a steel sled for my house. Eventually.
What is it? What did I say? The cobbler's children wears no shoes.
That's right. My kid wears no shoes either. That's just because I don't like them. But you know what, man? I think we've given your voice enough of a workout. You sound like you could definitely use a rest. So let's wrap it up. But before, and I'm going to remember this time because I usually forget this, before Bethany sends us home, we're going to send you a Duonamic training kit to so you can use it in the airport, in the hotel rooms, because I always see you working out in terminals and whatever. But a nice pull-up thing for the door thing. They'll send it out to you, courtesy of Duonamic, for being a guest on the podcast and as a thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And I'll definitely use it because I will use it to become a grip enthusiast.
A grip enthusiast. That's correct. Yes.
You should practice with some goo on your hands just to simulate some potential scenarios.
Yeah. And that's what I was. You just wait. You're going to see an Instagram video of me putting honey on my hands. And
Awesome, Beth. Why don't you wind us out?
Thanks so much, Dylan. And we will be cheering you on as loud as we can up here in Canada when you race in Vegas.
Well, thank y'all very much.